Now let's talk about Ukraine. It is grappling with a crisis within. For the first time since the war began, thousands of people have taken to the streets. They protested outside the president's office in Kiev. Cities like Lviv, Dnipro and Odessa also witnessed demonstrations. Ukrainians are angry about a new law, a law that brings Ukraine's anti-corruption agencies effectively under government control. It is facing immense opposition both from civilians and soldiers. They say this law weakens democracy and oversight, and Ukraine's allies are alarmed too. The European Union has warned Kiev that its aid depends on transparency. The G7 ambassadors have called for urgent talks with Kiev. President Zelensky has defended the move. He says the current agencies are inefficient. But for many Ukrainians, this feels like betrayal. Here's a report.
Ukraine's capital witnessed unprecedented scenes yesterday. As Russian attacks continue unabated, thousands of Kiev residents gathered outside the president's office to protest. This was Ukraine's first major anti-government demonstration since the war began. The crowd included civilians and soldiers alike. They stood together not against Russia but against President Zelensky. The message was clear. They do not want to see another enemy emerge from within. Similar protests broke out in Lviv, Dnipro, and Odessa. The row is over a new law. It strips the independence of two key anti-corruption agencies. The law now gives the president-appointed prosecutor general control over them. Activists see this as a direct attack on democratic institutions and a gut punch to the anti-corruption gains made by Ukraine. Activists say this is part of a broader crackdown. They point to pressure on the media and on independent voices critical of the government. But Zelensky remains defiant. He called the existing anti-corruption system inefficient. He said cases had been lying dormant for years.
Cases that have been pending must be investigated. For years, officials who fled Ukraine have been living peacefully abroad for some reason, in very nice countries and without legal consequences. This is not normal. There is no rational explanation why criminal proceedings worth billions have been hanging for years.
But many citizens remain unconvinced. For many Ukrainians, this feels like a betrayal. They have endured over 3 years of war. They have stood united against Russia. But now, they fear that unity is being used to undermine their democracy. The backlash is spreading beyond Ukraine now. The European Union has raised concerns. Brussels has told Kiev EU aid depends on democratic reforms, and transparency is key to Ukraine's EU membership bid. A European Commission spokesperson called the move worrying.
This is serious and it is worrying, and there are formal obligations for Ukraine in this process, what Ukraine committed themselves to do. If that do not happen, it has consequences in the end.
G7 ambassadors have also requested talks with Ukrainian leaders. They want clarity on the pressure on anti-corruption agencies. So far, Kiev's response to these protests has been muted. But the message from the streets is clear. Ukrainians refuse to trade one kind of oppression for another. They are fighting two wars now, one against Russia, and another to defend their own democracy.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
At $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion kakaidyo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Kali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.